Good morning. We are team number 3. This is our group. We are David, Hassan, Linda, Andrea, Aisha, and Baharan. This is our proposal for a prevention and emergency strategy after an earthquake. So for starters, our proposal comes from following an earthquake in L'Aquila City that it completely destroyed. So we are proposing this plan where we take into account what's happening, the actions that we are going to take, and how we're going to measure and evaluate those actions. So our goal is to give awareness of dangerous situations and events that could be hazard in the city and that could affect our citizens and the authorities, and are going to affect also the civil protection and all the public departments that form the city. And our message would be prevention of an earthquake and other hazards, because all this information could be useful for other natural events or pandemics or anything. For starters, we performed a SWOT analysis where we found out the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and threats of the city. So our main strength would be that we are going to be prepared with this plan. Our weaknesses is that not everyone is aware of what could happen. Also, a lack of preparedness, but we have the opportunity to reveal the city from the ground and update the policies, and also take into account and use modern technology. Our biggest threat are the hazard and also the time, because we have to react within minutes to perform all the actions. Then we analyze the risks while preventing and while the emergency situation. So for preventing, we are going to monitor and sensibilize the citizens so they can be aware of what could happen to them. And also in the emergency, we are going to forecast and give psychological support to all the civilians. And also, we don't want to let the people go, so we are going to perform initiatives to help the businesses. Then for the citizens, we're also going to help them be prepared, but also in time of emergency, cooperate with the authorities as the civil protection, the volunteers, so they know what they can do. And we are going to perform several activities, like for example with children, we're going to do games once per year. We also are going to take into account that the once per year is not always on September. We want to do it once in September, once in December, one in springtime, because it's not the same, like the weather is going to be different. Also for adults, we're going to have a strategy year-round using local channels, radio, social media, where they will have videos and official documents to read and explore. And also for seniors and disabled people at the hospitals and the retirement homes, we are going to have simulations where with virtual reality, we are going to simulate a real earthquake using previous data from all the earthquakes, so they can actually feel what an earthquake is going to be, and for them to be prepared and aware and know what they are going to do afterwards. Then the authorities, we are specifying each role and each goal that they are going to perform during the prevention, during the emergency. And one important thing here is the storage and shelters, because we have to know what resources do we have. Like our main goal is to know the resources and know where to put them in the prevention and in the emergency moment. So for the media, during the prevention and during the emergency, we want to deliver the message on newspaper like Capoluogo, on Radio L'Aquila, and on TV, L'Aquila TV. And also also, we cannot forget about the experts, the scientists. They are the ones that are going to be monitoring and forecasting what is going to happen. They are going to be doing a lot of data analysis and sharing it with the other authorities. Then here we also have another ideas. For example, the use of drones in the case of emergency. These drones could also help deliver supplies and all the resources needed. And also they could take pictures, and using image processing, they can calculate the damage and make a budget of what's needed to be done in the future. So here is how we are going to evaluate what is going to actually happen. Like, all these actions are good, but we need to measure if they are actually accessible and could be completed. So first of all, we're going to have this kind of dashboards. We will have the directory of the human resources, and we're going to be dividing the city into different districts. Each district will have a leader, and they will know how many volunteers they have, the police department and the fire department, and when they click on each number, they will have the directory of their names, their numbers, and how to contact them. And then they, on the case, that is the prevention, but now on the day of the emergency, they could also use it to know how many residents are in the district, how many residents have arrived to the meeting point, and and automatically know the percentage of how many people are there. How are we going to do this? We are going to be sending letters to, I don't know if it's here. We're going to be sending letters to each person, to each home, and they know where the meeting point is. Then within the districts, we are also divided into small zones. Each zone will be proportional in population, so they can manage the same amount of people and resources. Then here, for the children and activities for hospitals and adults, we need to measure that they are actually hearing everything. So here we have the name of the school and when was the last visit, and also when is going to be the next visit. So in this example, we visited them in summer, and next year we're going to visit them in autumn. And here we can also know how many students are in each school, and how many posters to take, how many flyers, and all the information needed for all the kids to actually know how to be prepared. Then this is also like a media campaign where we can use radio and TV. And here we proposed the percentage of population that we want to reach. The same, we don't know if the people on the radio are going to be listening to the ad. So what we propose is make a questionnaire on a website so they can log into the website and we can know how many people heard the ad and measure if the target has been reached or not. Then also here, as I mentioned before, the letters, we can also see how many people. Automatically we can know the percentages and check where areas need to be to take more people, if we need to talk with the community leaders to help them achieve the richness. Then we also, as I mentioned before, the storage. We will have all the supplies that we need to that needed, and we also need to know when was the last time it was supplied and when will it expire. During the pandemic, there were times that they had the supplies, but they were expired and you couldn't use them. So for a prevention measure, we are going to keep the expiration date, and also on the day of the emergency, we can know how much all those supplies have been used, and we know how percentage we have left. So the system will alert when those thresholds are being under, and say alert so you can restock the storage. And thank you so much. Do you have any questions?
experts, so we have to give you feedback, but we need some clarification.
Yes.
The population of L'Aquila is 69,563 people in 2023. This is what my mobile phone tells me.
Yeah.
You have a very good plan. Congratulations, well done. Have you thought how long it will take for you to reach your threshold? In other words, if it will give you the contract today, how long will it take for you to reach enough people? How many months? And secondly, how many members of staff, how many people you will need to open the envelopes, read the letters, do the database and everything?
Okay.
You can discuss with your group if you want. You don't, because you've done a fantastic job, but it's...
Group.
2 minutes.
Okay. Good professionalism. Good professionalism. And they discuss.
Much more professional than us.
Not allowed. Okay, I think we've come enough time. Yeah, no, it's a crisis. On a crisis.
Okay, we have it.
On a crisis, you don't have 2 minutes. So.
No. The question, we kind of have thought about it.
Okay.
So actually, the key person that are going to be reading the letters would be the leaders of each district. So depending on how many districts we have created, there would be like one person, the one that is going to be leading that area. And also depending on the time and depending on the hazard, it would take months but we don't think it's going to take years to achieve the goal, because if we are going to divide the city, it's going to be easier to reach the people instead of having just one big area. So since we are dividing it, that person is going to lead the activity, the action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. 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 So good morning. We are team number 2 with Sandra, Malcolm, Sophia, Eche, and Wilbur, and Kajal also. And our goals, the main goals for us is to implement actions to increase the resilience of the community, to preventing the phenomenon of the population, and to reduce the structural vulnerabilities of the buildings. So, and we start with the phase 1. It's the preliminary settlement phase of the staff, when we try to figure out how many people that we need to make our first phase. And then the major things are to implement actions to increase the resilience of the community, like making groups of neighbors to work on preparedness and giving them information, and also to train the residents to help in the construction and the response activities. Also to create intermunicipality associations for planning and data gathering. And for preventing the phenomenon of the population, we are thinking about faster rebuilding houses, temporary houses, try to know the needs, the water, food, gas, and other kind of that stuff, rebuild faster and reduce the structural vulnerabilities, and also try to figure out the monetary incentives to live in the city for everybody. Then we try to relocate schools and other critical infrastructures in the city. In the phase 2, we will launch the project phase. So we are thinking about which kind of events that we will use propagate and for diversification this phase of the project, like 1 week of events in town. We have thinking about a buzz with high tech going to the schools and with movies and others, and reach the young people and other kind of people to tell them about the others. We have also events on others meeting points across town, which is like when people has in his mind that, where we will have to go, like a meeting point for when some hazard happens. If something happens there that could be a reminder, it will be useful in other opportunities. So we are also to make a local, regional and national news channel covering for spreading the information. Also use commercial and AIDS campaigns on local radio, TV and sport events. Also make a social media campaign aggressively. Also we want to get some campaigns on fundraising with people that has money, like millionaires, TV stars, and some kind of big, huge companies that want help us. We also use events based on technology, like in drone, virtual reality, to show the difference before and after some kind of hazard that could be happen. And also we want to create a basic platform to make the people participate, like in quiz, when we found the knowledge about the city and the main things that they should know in case of emergency on the city. We have always to have the engagement of the stakeholders, like workshops, regular meeting, and act with the population to be a very close relation. In phase 3, we make the diagnosis, the reading, and the listening of the territory. So we have to characterize the social part, like the characteristics of the population, the risk perception, the preparedness level, and the obstacles. We have to map all the vulnerabilities, or the most vulnerabilities that we found there. We have to test plans with the simulacros to see if it is efficient. We have to analyze the buildings and the critical infrastructures, like the physical vulnerabilities analysis, and we have to assessment the damage. We have to have an effective mechanism of interaction between the stakeholders. We have to check each individual stakeholder, which resources they can give us, which we have to analyze their resources and what we are expecting from them, like the training that they need, the number of people, the distribution across the city, the logisticals, and we have to study emergency plans aligned to our plan. So again, we have to have a strong engagement between the stakeholders. On phase 4, we are towards the immediate territorial strategic plan. So we have here to list the indicators that reflect the impact of the hazard. We have defined the needs, we have to allocate the resource, we have to improve the database, because database is a living tool, so it has to be every time updated. And we also have some kind of pre-decisional and reviews to identify the specific improvements. So we are thinking to create small groups between the team to decide. So when the information comes to the organization, we don't have to bother about thinking about everything, because small teams already have done that work for now. So this is drafting the documents, and then we have the finalization of the documents for compliance with the local regulation. Again, the engagement of the stakeholders. Phase 5, the preparation and delivery of the plan. So we have to review and approve all the necessary authorities. We go to deliver the plan and design the management emergency plan. We will finalize the document for compliance for the regional and for the state regulation, and also the stakeholders will be part of that. Next phase is the last phase with the management and monitoring structure. So here is like the layout of our plan. So we have to critically examine the current design. we have to design a matrix, a responsible matrix for who do what, and then this is to be very, very clear to know which people do what. It's very important. And also we have to design program with the key data for the reviews and the information exchange. So, and then we want to design a platform, like a smart city platform, with all the stakeholders' engagement feedback, when we will have the schedule of information required or released, how we monitor the resources expended and compare them with the estimated, and also the regular assessment to check the progress. So this plan is has to be comprehensive and integrated. Emergency management is a shared responsibility between everybody, between all levels of governments, the private sector, non-governmental organizations, individual citizens. Because an hazard don't know if it's spring or summer or winter, or if everybody is on the beach or everybody is in a concert, because in paper all the plans are the best. We are a plan on the paper, my plan is the best plan, but something happened and maybe me, that will be the director of the organization, I'm on the beach and I'm not with my phone. So what we'll do? It's very difficult to prevent, because we make a plan like, oh, if everybody is in a room, but everybody could be out of their room. We create a building and we put all the supplies, all the stuff for the response, and suddenly the earthquake attack only around the building and the building collapse, and then we don't have any supplies, we don't have any resources, we don't have anything. So this is a living plan, so we have always to be adapt, always to be adapt. And I think is the last one, you have music? I think we have to thank you for everything.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are Team 1 from the Be Ready team, and this is going to be our presentation that we are going to go phase by phase, as the last group did. And for the phase 1, what we did is to settle the preliminary settlement phase of the technical scientific staff. And what we did here is to put ourselves, according to our expertise area, one role in order to cover all the necessities that we thought that they can be needed in case of an earthquake or something, or any hazard. At the beginning, it's myself as the team leader, as an emergency, trying with the communication information system. Then we have David, as well as in the emergency system with the civil protection. Next is Berkay, as now we are entering the prevention group, is at economics and technical work. Then goes Farsad, as well as prevention in the civil engineering and transport. And then it's Rui with the prevention, as he's a seismologist. And finally we have Jordi, our prevention and our expert in social impact. And this is how we organize our team according to our expertise and getting all the areas we need. Then, once we settle the team, we start launching our project, and our aim is to reduce the impact of the earthquake in L'Aquila. And we have written the main 5 highlights we're going to follow, and then they're going to be divided into 2 specific groups according to prevention and emergency. So the first main guideline is to provide, through a concerted response, the conditions and availability of the essential means to minimize the adverse effects of large-scale seismic events. And secondly, we have to develop in the entities involved in the civil protection operations the adequate level of preparation for the emergency in order to create immediate and sustainable response. Third, we have to promote the strategies that ensure the continuity and maintenance of the system and enable the rehabilitation. 4, to preparing for regular training sessions and exercises. And finally, but not least, the promote self-protection awareness-raising actions among the population. So this is our main guidelines, that they have been divided into 2 groups, as I said, prevention and emergency. For example, in the prevention group, we have to check all the buildings for stableness, implement guidelines, as we said, creation of public insurance. We we know that some groups of people, they're going to be more vulnerable, so we need to know that the public institutions are with them, so everyone has an equal trade when there is a seismic event, teaching population, know the areas where most vulnerable people live according to the same idea I just expressed, and a meeting point. And on the other hand, we have the emergency, that for example, we have relegation plans on the near services to guarantee basic rights. For example, if we have a seismic event and we can no longer live in L'Aquila, the territory has to be conscious of this. So the territory has to take part and maybe to take some neighborhood to their village and give them these basic rights as hospitals or schools. So we have to think in more general terms as well. We have the equipment, vehicles, alarm system, unbreakable communication. Sometimes it's difficult to communicate by earth, so maybe it's just easier to go by air using drones. Counting the system to know the number of people in each building. Maybe this is a little bit dangerous, but it would be nice to know how many people we have in each building of the city, so at the end we can know, we can count them. Emergency food, and finally, yes, of course, it's always necessary some animals for help. So now that we know the team, we know our aim, we launch our project, it's important to get an idea of where we are working. So the first and most important is to understand the city. We are working in L'Aquila, so we have to know the area, we have to know the elevation, population, and we have to know that it's surrounded by mountains and it has some winter tourism that, because we have like 5 ski resorts, and this is like really, really important. As well, it's important to know the critical infrastructures. We have 3 hospitals, 1 fire department, 5 schools, 1 university, and as well 1 airport. And in total we have 8,598 buildings, that most of them were from the 13th century, with a high number of monuments. As well, we have 1 highway, 2 national, and 1 railway station. And this is really important to get an image of the city, because if after the earthquake we have like 20 less population than in 2009, and if before there was a dentist, now this dentist is getting less clients, and then there is as well an economic factor related to the earthquake. So we have to think about these economic effects, and consequently there is need to seduce people to keep living in L'Aquila. We have to give them the certainty that it's a safe place, and if something happens, we can react. So the consequences, they're not going to be that bad. So we have to listen to the territory, and to do that, we are going to ask the inhabitants what are the strengths of the city, but as well, it's important to know why the tourists come to L'Aquila. If you live here, maybe you have no choice, but if you like to come to visit to L'Aquila, maybe you are aware of something that the inhabitants don't. So we are going to perform the SWOT, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities of the threats of the city, to detect which people is more likely to come. So we can target them, and we can L'Aquila can be an alive city. Everyone can enjoy living here. And so for the preparation, all of what we did is our preparation, and we're going to group in different areas, as well as introduction and conclusion. The areas where our main plan is going to be based are the data and information management. That's really important. Physical and mental health. Sometimes we forget that they have some mental issues. We have to assess them as well. Teaching is very important as a prevention. Social support. Not all group of people have the same effects as after an earthquake. Food and supplies, hospitality, and emotions and rationality are really, really important in this scenario. So, how we are going to communicate the strategic plan to the whole population? Our team thought that it could be a good idea to create an earthquake info desk, as we call them an EID, to communicate and provide conscious about the territory and the earthquake. It's important not to use always the scientific vocabulary, because maybe not everybody can understand that, so it's important to use non-scientific vocabulary. And we thought as well to create a thematic week about the earthquake with that can be to a very different wide range of public. For example, we can create a scientific event like convention with special researchers, so something like we did here, but for some specialized people, but as well some public discussions for the neighborhood, so they can express their opinion, or even some cultural creations by the school. We have to take the earthquake as a strength of the city. We have to people be conscious and to know what's going on in the city. And as well, we have to maybe to be able through art to express what is an earthquake representing to us. So there should be as well multiple ways of communication to reach everyone. Not everyone has access to internet, or not everyone manages very well the internet. So it's important to use letter, mobile phone message, but as well social media for teenagers, or even just some panels in the street, so everyone can have a look at it. And finally, it can be nice to have an infographic summarizing the most vital information at every building. So we don't know when the earthquake is going to happen, but we will always have a guideline, so we can know how to react and what to do. And finally, last phase, this is maybe the most technical phase of it, is the design of the management and monitoring structure of the plan. And what we want to do here is the measurement of the readiness and maturity of the earthquake, prevention emergency. What we are proposing an assessment model to measure readiness and maturity. So we have, as we said, the strategy. That's our strategy. We have the people, the inhabitants, tourists, and everyone. And finally, we have all the technology we can use. And this is going to tell us if we are ready or we are not ready. And this is going to lead us to the maturity. So how we are going to react to. So one is if we are ready, and then the other one is how we react. And we have designed different levels where level 5 is much better than level 1. So after our work, maybe we thought, okay, we are ready, we are in level 5, everything is going to work perfectly, but then in reality, maybe it doesn't work really good like this. So, and this is what we call the Integration Readiness Maturity Assessment Model of Earthquake Management in L'Aquila, as the mostly known RMEM. And yep, that was it. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any question, we are here.